What is up, Xaliter here. I'm excited to bring out a new build that I am calling the Arcane Blade. I got the idea for this build based on a comment on a video that I received a while back about using the Kazite Spellblade and Rune Sage skill trees together, but I just hadn't gone to it until now. This build focuses on spell weaving along with melee attacks while keeping defensive stats high. So, let's get into the build. Let's start with the core equipment. For the helmet, we want the Gold Lich Mask. It provides very nice defensive stats with impact resistance of 10%, physical resistance of 14%, and fire and lightning resistances of 30%. It decreases mana costs by 25%. Use the Aegis enchantment for more protection. For the body armor, we want the white arcane robe. It provides a nice amount of defensive stats with 4% impact resistance, 14% physical resistance, and 20% fire, frost, and decay resistances. It also increases fire, frost, and decay damage by 5%, and it increases cold weather resistance by 6 and decreases mana costs by 15%. It also increases cooldown reduction by 10%. Use the Aegis enchantment for increased protection or the Stabilizing Forces enchantment for increased movement speed and impact resistance. For the boots, we want the Gold Lich boots. It provides nice defensive stats with impact resistance of 3%, physical resistance of 4%, fire resistance of 10%, and lightning resistance of 30%, and it decreases mana costs by 15%. Use the Flux enchantment for increased lightning damage and movement speed. For the primary weapon, we want to go with the Runic Blade, which provides pure ethereal damage with 31 base ethereal damage and 12 impact damage. With the Runic Prefix skill that we will get, it also comes with the Divine Light Imbue, providing us with lightning damage. This blade also has infinite durability, but lasts for 180 seconds. As a backup weapon, we have the Butcher Cleaver, which provides 3 different damage types with 13.7 base physical damage, 13.7 base lightning damage, and 13.7 base decay damage. It has 33 impact damage. We want to enchant it with the Poltergeist enchantment for raw damage. For our offhand, we want the Lightmender's Lexicon, which will allow us to continue casting Runic Magic. It also increases lightning and ethereal damage by 5% and decreases mana costs by 5%. For our backpack, we want the Buzu Hide Backpack, which will increase our corruption resist by 10% and allow us to dodge without any interference. The 3 skill trees we want for this build are the Kazite Spellblade, Warrior Monk, and Rune Sage skill trees. For the Kazite Spellblade skill tree, we want to take Elemental Discharge. Choose either Infused Fire or Infused Frost based on your damage bonuses or personal preference. Here are the rest of the skills we want from the skill tree. For the Warrior Monk skill tree, we want to take Master of Motion and Counterstrike. Here are the rest of the skills we want from the skill tree. For the Rune Sage skill tree, we want to take Runic Prefix. Here are the rest of the skills we want from the skill tree. Notable tier 1 skills that we want for this build are Call to Elements and Weather Tolerance from Cabal Hermit skill tree, Fast Maintenance and Armor Training from Mercenary skill tree, Enrage from Wild Hunter skill tree, and Efficiency and Metabolic Purge from the Speedster skill tree. Take 3 points of mana. The faction we want to join is the Holy Mission faction. The rewards wanted are Acceptance, Purified, Divine Assistance, Sanctified Protection, and the Peacemaker Elixir. After building New Sirocco, a last intervention can be obtained. Here are the stats we can expect with this build. These stats assume that all boons are active, Runic Protection is active, all equipment was enchanted, and Aegis was used for the White Arcane Robe, and all faction rewards were obtained. The offensive stats will be different based on whether the Runic Blade or the Butcher Cleaver is equipped. With the Runic Blade, here are the offensive stats. 31 base ethereal damage, with 15% bonus physical damage, 25 bonus fire, frost, decay, and ethereal damage, and 30% bonus lightning damage, 15 impact damage. With the Butcher Cleaver, here are the offensive stats. 6.85 base physical damage, 13.7 base lightning damage, 13.7 base decay damage, and 6.85 base raw damage, with 15% bonus physical damage, 25% bonus fire, frost, decay, and ethereal damage, and 30% bonus lightning damage. 41.25 impact damage. The defensive stats are as follows: 8 protection, 0 barrier, 27% impact resistance, 62% physical resistance, 100% fire and lightning resistance, 60% frost resistance, 85% decay resistance, and 40% ethereal resistance, 30 cold weather defense, and 24 hot weather defense. After developing New Sirocco and getting a last intervention, just increase barrier by 2 and protection by 5 for the new stats. The extra stats include 145 health, 185 stamina, and 135 mana, negative 10% stamina costs, negative 70% mana costs, 20% corruption resist, 10% cooldown reduction, and plus 2% movement speed. In terms of financial costs, here's what you can expect to dish out for this build. The Gold Lich Mask is free, but you have to defeat the Lightmender or use a legacy chest. The White Arcane Robe is free because it is a legacy chest item. The Gold Lich Boots are also free, but they have the same requirements as the Gold Lich Mask. Either defeat the Lightmender or use a legacy chest system. The Runic Blade is free, just needs mana to be cast. The Butcher Cleaver is actually also free, also from the legacy chest system. The Lightmender's Lexicon is also free, just needs to be collected from the Voltaic Hatchery. Well, it seems that we got through all the equipment without having to pay anything. Now for the skills, the Kazite Spellblade will cost 1,800 silver, the Warrior Monk will cost 1,850 silver, and the Rune Sage will cost 1,900 silver. The tier 1 skills will add another 500 silver. So, the total cost comes out to 6,050 silver. For people who do not want to acquire the core equipment, here are some alternative equipment. Let's start out with the helmets. We have quite a few alternatives here. First, we have the red white hat. Compared to the Gold Lich Mask, we can expect decreased impact resistance, physical resistance, fire resistance, lightning resistance, and stamina costs, but increased frost damage, decay damage, hot weather defense, and mana costs. I recommend enchanting with Aegis for more protection. Next, we have the white wide hat. We can expect decreased impact resistance, physical resistance, fire resistance, and lightning resistance, but increased fire damage, lightning damage, hot weather defense, mana costs, and movement speed. I recommend enchanting with Aegis for more protection. The wide black hat is up next. It has decreased impact resistance, physical resistance, fire resistance, and lightning resistance, but increased fire damage, hot weather defense, mana costs, and movement speed. It can be bought for 200 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection. Up next is the wide blue hat. It results in decreased impact resistance, physical resistance, fire resistance, lightning resistance, and decreased stamina costs, but increased frost damage, hot weather defense, and mana costs. It can be bought for 200 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection. Lastly, we have the Master Desert Veil, with decreased fire resistance, lightning resistance, and stamina costs, but increased protection, impact resistance, hot weather defense, mana costs, and movement speed. Enchant with Aegis for more protection, or Intercool for increased frost damage at the cost of lightning resistance. Then, we have the body armor alternatives. The Arcane Robe is our first up. Compared to the White Arcane Robe, it has decreased physical resistance, fire damage, decay damage, and cooldown reduction, but increased frost damage. It can be bought for 200 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection or stabilizing forces for more movement speed and impact resistance. Next, we have the Clan Sage Robe, with decreased physical resistance, fire resistance, decay resistance, fire damage, frost damage, decay damage, mana costs, and cooldown reduction, but increased cold weather defense. It can be bought for 175 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection or stabilizing forces for more movement speed and impact resistance. Lastly, we have the Red Clan Sage Robe. It has decreased fire resistance, decay resistance, frost damage, decay damage, mana costs, and cooldown reduction, but increased physical resistance, lightning damage, and cold weather defense. Enchant with Aegis for more protection or stabilizing forces for more movement speed and impact resistance. Up next, we got the boots. Firstly, we have the White Priest boots. Compared to the Gold Lich boots, we can expect decreased lightning resistance, but increased physical resistance, fire resistance, frost resistance, decay resistance, and mana costs. It can be bought for 250 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection or Flux for more movement speed and lightning damage. Next, we have the Entomber boots, with decreased fire resistance, lightning resistance, and stamina costs, but increased impact resistance, fire resistance, decay resistance, hot weather defense, mana costs, and movement speed. It can be bought for 200 silver. Enchant with Aegis for more protection or Flux for more movement speed and lightning damage. For the primary weapon, there really is no alternative for the Runic Blade. But for the backup weapon, you can pretty much use any one-handed weapon. SAR weapons may be a good choice due to the high durability costs of spamming Elemental Discharge, but it also comes at the cost of slow attack speed. Also, if you switch to a weapon in the middle of the fight, it may be difficult to cast an imbue on it unless you have a co-op partner to distract the enemies. That being said, It is also unlikely that you'll still be fighting an enemy for 180 seconds, which is how long the Runic Blade lasts. Even if you are stuck in a fight past the duration of the Runic Blade, the enemy would most likely be pretty low on health, so the backup is simply there in case you wanted to finish an enemy off. In addition, you could always just recast the Runic Blade if you prefer over using a backup. In terms of an order to develop this build, here's a suggestion. First, get money, as money is great if you want to do anything in this game. Next, go around RI buying tier 1 skills and getting legacy chest items. Then, buy alternative equipment if desired. Getting mana is next. Then, it is time to buy the skill trees. Start with a Kazite Spellblade skill tree, followed by the Rune Sage skill tree, and then the Warrior Monk skill tree. Next, farm enchantment material and enchant equipment. At this point, the build is mostly complete, so we can just complete the faction quests along with the parallel quests. Finally, complete Rust and Vengeance and New Sirocco. Here's a suggestion on how to use this build based on what I found most comfortable in my fights. First, if you are fighting a boss, unique enemy, or tough enemy, drink potions and cast Runic Protection, Runic Blade, and Runic Lantern, and change imbue if needed or desired. Then, cast boons and eat food/drink. It is optional to cast Runic Trap if the enemy is nearby but out of aggro territory. Then, it is time to get aggressive and attack enemies from afar with Elemental Discharge and Runic Lightning. As the enemy comes closer, fight in melee combat with occasional disengages to return to casting Elemental Discharge and Runic Lightning. Cast Counterstrike and Brace as needed throughout the fight, and use Runic Trap and Runic Detonation as needed. Use Runic Heal as needed throughout the fight, but remember to recast Runic Protection after using Runic Heal. That's the Arcane Blade build. If you decide to try out this build, I hope you find it as enjoyable as I did. Let me know in the comments if you found different ways to make this build more fun for you. If you are looking for more builds, click on the info card for a playlist of all the builds I came up with so far. Otherwise, I'll see you later.